Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. That one's skill, self-discipline, decides how your life turns out. If you don't build it, you'll keep making promises you never keep. You'll keep quitting halfway, you'll keep choosing what's easy and paying for it later. But if you do build it, everything changes. Your habits improve, your focus sharpens, you stop wasting time, and most importantly, you start trusting yourself again. That's what this video is about. No hype, no shortcuts, just real honest talk about how to train yourself to take action, stay consistent, and follow through daily. Because the day you master self-discipline is the day you take full control of your life, and that's where your real progress begins. Number 1. Push through pain to develop real mental toughness. You want to master self-discipline? Then you have to understand something most people avoid. Pain. Not physical pain necessarily, but emotional pain. Mental pressure. The uncomfortable feeling of doing something you don't want to do, but doing it anyway. That's where real strength is built. You can't develop discipline while staying comfortable. You can't grow into a stronger version of yourself by only doing what feels good. That's not how life works. The people who get ahead in life are the ones who've trained themselves to keep going when everything inside them wants to quit. Not because they're special, not because they were born stronger, but because they decided to stop running from discomfort. They faced it and they used it. That's mental toughness. That's the root of self-discipline. It starts with the small things. Waking up when the alarm rings, even if you're tired. Showing up for your commitments, even when you're not in the mood. Finishing the work you started, even when nobody's watching. These moments don't seem important when they happen, but each time you push through, you're building something inside you. You're building the ability to rely on yourself. Pain shows up in many forms. Sometimes it's the pain of exhaustion. Sometimes it's the pain of boredom. Sometimes it's the pain of staying focused when your mind wants to wander. But behind every form of pain is the same opportunity, the chance to develop real control over your choices. And that's what discipline really is. Choosing to do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. Most people think discipline means being strict. It's not about being harsh. It's about being honest. Honest with yourself. Honest enough to say, this is hard, but I'm going to do it anyway. Honest enough to recognize when you're being lazy. Honest enough to admit when you've made excuses. That kind of honesty hurts, but it wakes you up. And that's what you need to start changing. When you avoid pain, you weaken your ability to handle life. You stay soft. You stay dependent on comfort. And the problem with that is simple. Life doesn't care how you feel. Life responds to what you do. It rewards action. It rewards responsibility. So the moment you start pushing through pain, you begin to take control of your life. You stop waiting for the right mood. You stop depending on others to keep you motivated. You become your own driving force. And here's the truth, you don't need to feel strong to be strong. Some of the most powerful decisions you'll ever make will be made when you feel weak, when your body's tired, when your mind is filled with doubt. But if you act anyway, you're not weak. You're powerful. Strength is not the absence of discomfort. Strength is your ability to move forward in the presence of it. Think about it, the person who shows up every day, even when they're tired, they're building discipline. The person who eats clean food when cravings scream at them, they're building discipline. The person who turns down distractions and finishes what they promised, they're building discipline. And over time, these small decisions create a strong, focused, reliable version of you. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being robotic. It's about being consistent. If you mess up, get back on track. If you get lazy, correct it. But don't lie to yourself. Don't let comfort lie to you. Because comfort will tell you take it easy. Comfort will tell you you deserve a break. Comfort will tell you you've done enough. But discipline will tell you you're not finished yet. And if you want a better life, you have to listen to discipline more than you listen to comfort. There will be days when you don't want to do anything. You'll feel low, you'll feel drained, and you'll wonder if it's worth it. That's when you find out who you really are. Not when everything is smooth, not when you're motivated, but when your back is against the wall. That's when you either fold or you fight. And if you fight through it, if you push through the pain and keep going, you'll find something on the other side. Pride. Not fake pride, but real self-respect. The kind you earn, the kind you feel in your gut. And that feeling, that's what builds confidence. Not compliments, not followers, not attention, but the knowledge that you can count on yourself. That when it got hard, you didn't fold. You kept moving, you stayed with the plan, you followed through. That's real confidence. And that's where all growth starts. You see, most people don't fail because they're not capable. They fail because they quit when it got painful. The workout was too hard. The routine was too boring. The process was too slow. But if you can stay with it, if you can hold the line during the pain, you separate yourself from the crowd. You become different. And in today's world, being different is rare. Most people are chasing quick fixes, but discipline builds long-term results. And that's what really matters. So don't look for ways to avoid pain. Look for pain that leads to growth. Choose the hard path on purpose, the one that demands effort, the one that stretches your patience, the one that teaches you how to endure. Because every time you do that, you become mentally tougher. You become someone who doesn't break under pressure. Someone who finishes what they start. Someone who can lead because they've mastered themselves first. Self-discipline is not about punishing yourself. It's about protecting your future. It's about doing what you said you would do, no matter how you feel today. That's integrity. That's power. That's freedom. And if you want to live a life that matters, if you want to look back with no regrets, then you need to become the kind of person who pushes through pain. Not once, but every single day. That's how discipline is built. Not with words, not with wishes, but with choices, real choices, in the real world. When it's hard, when it's quiet, when it's uncomfortable, that's when it counts. And that's where you grow. Number 2, train your focus like your life depends on it. Most people don't understand how powerful focus really is. If you can't control your attention, you'll never control your actions. And if you can't control your actions, you'll never control your future. Every distraction that pulls you away from what matters is costing you more than time. It's costing you discipline. To master self-discipline, you must train your focus like it's a survival skill. Because in today's world, it is. Your ability to lock in, stay present, and finish what you start is one of the most valuable habits you can ever build. Without it, discipline becomes guesswork. Focus is not something you're born with. It's something you train. You train it by eliminating things that scatter your mind. You don't need to reply to every message the second it comes in. You don't need 10 tabs open while working. And you don't need constant noise around you. The more things you allow to pull your attention, the weaker your discipline becomes. The strongest people are not always the loudest or fastest. They're the ones who know how to stay with one thing long enough to finish it. They protect their focus because they know it shapes their progress. Your brain craves novelty. It wants something new, something fast, something easier. But focus demands that you say no to that craving. It demands that you sit in the boredom and do the work anyway. That's where the real test begins. Most people quit when things slow down. They switch tasks, open their phone, check messages, or drift off into something comfortable. But those who master focus resist that urge. They recognize the moment when their mind wants to run, and they choose to stay instead. That decision builds control, and control builds discipline. Training your focus is a daily practice. You don't become disciplined by accident. You become disciplined by repeatedly practicing the ability to ignore distractions and stay locked on your priorities. You must decide what truly matters and give it your full attention. Not half, not when it's convenient, but fully. That means setting a time to work and protecting that time with intensity. That means creating an environment that keeps your mind clear and your energy strong. It means holding yourself to a higher standard even when no one is watching, because you know your future depends on it. When you train your focus, you become more productive with less time. You don't waste energy bouncing between meaningless tasks. You stop doing things that look busy but go nowhere. Instead, you start doing what moves the needle, what brings results, what builds character. The more focused you become, the faster you grow. Not because you're rushing, but because you're consistent. You know what you're working on, and you stick with it until it's done. That kind of follow-through is what separates disciplined people from distracted people. Focus gives you the edge that most never develop. Discipline starts to build when you stop rewarding your impulses. Every time you choose to check something that doesn't matter, you weaken your ability to stay present. That's not just a small problem, that's a pattern. A pattern that teaches your brain to seek escape whenever pressure shows up. But when you train your focus, you do the opposite. You teach your mind to stay calm under pressure. You teach it to stay in the work, even when it's boring or difficult. You teach it to stay committed to the task, even when you're tempted to walk away. That's real strength. Focus also sharpens your thinking. When your attention is scattered, your thoughts become weak. You miss important details. You rush decisions. You forget why you started. But when you concentrate deeply, your mind begins to work differently. It becomes sharper, more alert. You begin to see solutions clearly. You start to anticipate problems before they grow. You start to connect the dots faster. And all of that is the result of one habit: training your focus. When your focus improves, your decisions improve. And when your decisions improve, your discipline becomes more effective. You don't need more time, you need more attention in the time you already have. People complain about not having enough hours in the day, but waste half those hours in distraction. Focus is the difference between progress and staying stuck. It's not about working harder, it's about working cleaner, more precise, more intentional. When your focus is strong, even a small effort can produce a big result. But when your focus is weak, you can work all day and still feel like you got nothing done. Focus turns effort into results. Discipline grows when you build a clear plan and train your mind to follow it. And that only works when your focus is strong. You can't build discipline around chaos. You need structure. And structure begins with focus. When you tell your mind what to do and you train it to stay there, your confidence grows. You start trusting yourself again. You don't second guess every move. You don't keep switching goals. You become stable, solid, and when you're that grounded, you become more disciplined because your actions are backed by clarity, not confusion. The people who achieve the most are not those who do the most. They are those who do what matters most, and they do it without interruption. That takes serious focus, that takes self-control, and that takes discipline. You train your focus not just to be more productive, but to be more powerful in your daily choices. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop drifting and start leading your time. That's how you master self-discipline, by mastering the attention you give to what matters most. Discipline isn't a feeling. It's a decision repeated through focused action. Number 3, follow a simple routine that keeps you consistent. Most people fail to stay disciplined because they don't have a routine. They wake up each day and make random choices. Some days they work, some days they don't. Some days they eat clean, some days they let everything go. That kind of lifestyle doesn't build discipline. It builds confusion. If you want to be consistent, you need a simple routine you can follow every day. Not a complicated plan, not a perfect schedule, just something basic that keeps your mind focused and your actions organized. The more predictable your day becomes, the easier it is to stay disciplined. A routine gives you direction. It tells you what to do before your feelings get in the way. Without it, you'll keep negotiating with your mood. You'll ask yourself if you feel like working, or if you feel like being productive. And most of the time, the answer will be no. But when you already have a routine, you don't need to ask. You already know what needs to be done. That's where self-discipline starts, when you stop asking for permission and start acting on structure. Structure gives you control over your day. You don't need to plan every hour. You don't need to control every minute. But you do need to create simple anchors in your day. A set wake-up time, a clear morning process, time blocks for your most important work, a regular shutdown routine. These things don't make your life boring. They make your life focused. They stop you from wasting hours deciding what to do. They help you avoid the chaos that breaks your momentum. When you follow a simple routine, your energy stops going into decisions and starts going into action. Discipline is not about intensity, it's about consistency. Anyone can push hard for one day. That's easy. What's hard is doing it again tomorrow and again the next day. That's where most people fall apart. They rely on motivation instead of rhythm. But motivation is unreliable. Some mornings it's there, some days it disappears. That's why you need routine. Routine doesn't care how you feel. It keeps you grounded, it keeps you moving, and it keeps you accountable to the life you say you want. When your routine becomes automatic, discipline gets easier. You don't have to argue with yourself anymore. You don't waste time debating what to do next. You simply follow the plan. That saves your mental energy for the real work. It protects you from distractions. It builds a lifestyle that supports progress. Most people think they need more motivation, but what they really need is a routine that works, a system they trust, a plan that keeps them in motion even when they don't feel like it. You should design your routine around your priorities, not your emotions. Start with the things that matter most: your health, your work, your mind. Build habits that support those areas. Keep it simple. Don't try to do 10 things at once. Choose 3 things you'll do every single day, no matter what. And then do them. That kind of repetition builds strength, not just in your actions, but in your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who's reliable. That self-picture builds powerful internal discipline. It's easy to feel lost without structure. The more freedom you give yourself, the more likely you are to waste time. Freedom without order becomes chaos. But when you build a clear routine, you create a path to follow. That path helps you avoid distractions. It keeps your mind steady. It reminds you of what matters. People who achieve their goals are not the busiest. They're the most consistent. They follow routines that support their values. And that consistency creates discipline that lasts. Your routine doesn't have to be perfect to work. It just has to be clear enough to follow and strong enough to repeat. The goal is not to be perfect, it's to be stable. When you can rely on your routine, you begin to trust your own process. That trust leads to confidence, and confidence strengthens your discipline. You're not second-guessing yourself anymore. You're not jumping from plan to plan. You're steady, you're focused, and that focus helps you grow in ways that chaos never will. Discipline is the result of repeated decisions. Every time you follow your routine, you're making a decision to stay on track. Every time you stick to your schedule, you're telling yourself that your goals matter, that your life matters, that your time matters. Those small decisions build momentum, and momentum makes it easier to keep going. That's the secret to long-term discipline, not willpower, not motivation, but small, consistent action repeated through a simple daily routine. The more you stick to it, the more natural it becomes. If you want to master the art of self-discipline, start by mastering your day. Build a routine that supports your goals and simplifies your choices. Keep it basic, keep it realistic, and most importantly, follow it. Not once, not when you feel like it, every day. Discipline grows from that kind of daily effort. You don't need to do everything at once, but you do need to do something consistently. That's where discipline takes root, in the daily structure you choose to live by. And once that's in place, your life will start to change. Number 4, track your time to see where it's wasted. They think they're busy, but they're really just scattered. They jump from one thing to the next, reacting instead of planning. Time slips away in small moments. Checking the phone, scrolling through nonsense, having long conversations that lead nowhere. If you want to master self-discipline, you must first master your time. And that begins with seeing the truth. Not guessing, not assuming, but writing it down. Every hour, every task. You need to see where your time actually goes, not where you think it goes. Time is not unlimited. Every day you get 24 hours. That's it. And how you spend those hours decides how your life turns out. The problem is that most people don't treat time with the same respect they treat money. They track their expenses but ignore their hours. They don't realize time is more valuable than money. You can always earn more money, but you can't get back the hours you waste. So if you don't know where your time is going, chances are it's going to the wrong things. That's why tracking is essential. When you start writing down how you spend your day, you get a reality check. You see clearly how much time goes into distractions. You see how much time is wasted on tasks that don't matter. You see how often you drift away from your goals. And that awareness is uncomfortable, but necessary. You can't improve what you don't measure. When you track your time, you begin to take it seriously. And when you take your time seriously, your self-discipline begins to grow stronger. Tracking your time doesn't take long. Just carry a notebook or use a simple app. Every hour, write down what you did. Be honest. If you spent 45 minutes watching videos, write that. If you worked for 30 minutes, write that. This is not about judging yourself, it's about understanding your patterns. When you start doing this every day, you begin to spot the weak points. The times when you drift, the times when your energy drops, the times when you're just passing time instead of using it. That's how change begins, with honest awareness. Once you know where your time is going, you can start cutting the waste. You'll begin to protect your most valuable hours. You'll stop saying yes to things that pull you away from your priorities. You'll start organizing your day with purpose. And suddenly you'll find more time than you thought you had. Not because the day got longer, but because you got smarter. That's how you build self-discipline. You stop living by chance and start living by design. And design begins with knowing how you're spending your time. Tracking your time also helps you take responsibility. No more blaming the clock. No more pretending you're too busy. You can see the truth in front of you. Maybe you're spending too much time on entertainment. Maybe you're avoiding the hard tasks. Maybe you're reacting to everyone else's priorities and ignoring your own. Whatever it is, once you see it, you can fix it. But until you face it, you'll stay stuck. Discipline is not just about action, it's about ownership. And tracking your time helps you own your day. It also builds awareness of your habits. You start to see patterns. What times you're focused when your energy drops. What triggers distractions, and with that information, you can adjust your routine to match your strengths. You can schedule important work during your peak energy hours. You can plan breaks when you know your focus dips. You can create an environment that supports discipline, not one that drains it. Tracking your time gives you the insight you need to build a system that works for you. Most people think they need more time. What they really need is better use of the time they already have. Everyone has the same hours in a day, but not everyone uses them the same way. If you're not tracking your time, you're guessing, and guessing is not a strategy. You wouldn't run a business without tracking results. You wouldn't build your finances without a budget, so why would you live your life without tracking your time? Self-discipline grows when you start treating time like the asset it is. There's power in seeing your day clearly. When you look back and review how you spent your time, you begin to see the truth of your habits. That truth might be uncomfortable, but it gives you control. You can only change what you're willing to face. And once you start facing your time, you take back control of your life. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You stop letting others decide your schedule. You become intentional. And that intention builds discipline. 1 hour at a time. To master the art of self-discipline, you must master your hours. Track your time daily. Pay attention to what's helping you and what's holding you back. Be honest with yourself. Cut what's useless. Protect what matters. Don't wait for someone to manage your time for you. Do it yourself. You only get one life. And every wasted hour is an hour you never get back. So treat your time with respect. Track it. Understand it. Own it. Because once you do, your discipline will grow naturally, and your life will begin to move in the direction you've always wanted. Number 5. Sleep on time to stay sharp and productive. One of the most overlooked parts of self-discipline is sleep. People talk about working hard, pushing through, staying busy, but if you're not sleeping on time, you're not sharp. And if you're not sharp, you're not productive. When you sleep late, you wake up tired. Your focus drops, your patience gets weaker, your decision-making suffers. That affects everything: your work, your energy, your attitude. Discipline doesn't just happen when you're awake. It starts the night before. If you want control over your day, you need control over your nights. Sleeping on time is not a small habit. It's a serious advantage. Your brain needs rest to function at its best. When you're low on sleep, you start making lazy choices. You skip tasks. You get irritated over small things. You drift from one distraction to the next. You start living in reaction instead of staying in control. That's not weakness, it's your system breaking down from lack of recovery. Self-discipline depends on clarity, and clarity depends on rest. You can't stay sharp if your mind is foggy. You can't stay focused if your body is worn out. Sleep gives you the edge. Most people throw away without thinking. Staying up late might feel productive in the moment, but it takes more than it gives. You sacrifice energy, you sacrifice mental strength, you sacrifice the early hours when your mind is most powerful. If you keep pushing your sleep later, your whole routine shifts. You start waking up later, rushing your mornings, and skipping what matters. That becomes a cycle, and that cycle kills discipline. The smartest thing you can do is set a bedtime that works and respect it. The discipline to sleep on time builds the discipline to rise with purpose. Every strong routine starts with sleep. People try to build habits in the morning, but they never fix their nights. You can't expect a strong start when you end your day poorly. If you're scrolling late, watching shows, wasting hours in bed, that time adds up, and more importantly, it drains your willpower. You wake up already behind. But when you sleep on time, you wake up ready. Not rushed, not foggy, clear, and that clarity allows you to follow through with the rest of your goals. That's how you build momentum. With a strong night that supports a strong day. Discipline is not just about doing hard things. It's about doing the right things at the right time. Going to bed on time is one of those things. It's simple, but it requires commitment. You might feel tempted to stay up just a little longer. But every time you give in, you steal from tomorrow. You lower your energy, you reduce your attention, you make the next day harder than it needs to be. And over time, that habit affects your results. Sleeping late once or twice may not break you, but doing it regularly will slow you down in ways you can't see immediately. Your body and mind need recovery to stay disciplined. Without it, everything becomes harder. You get irritated more easily. You can't think clearly. You lose motivation faster. All of that comes from poor sleep. People try to fix it with caffeine or distractions, but what they really need is rest. A tired mind cannot stay consistent. A tired body cannot follow through. Rest is not laziness, it's preparation. If you care about being productive, you need to care about sleep. Because discipline without energy leads to burnout, and burnout breaks everything you're trying to build. Going to bed on time is a decision you make for your future self. It's a promise that says, tomorrow matters to me. It's not exciting, it's not loud, but it's powerful. It shows that you value your energy. It shows that you're willing to trade temporary pressure for long-term clarity. It shows that you're serious about showing up at your best. And that mindset builds discipline. Discipline is not built through pressure, it's built through consistency. And consistency starts with getting the rest your mind and body need every single night. If your sleep is off, everything else feels harder than it should. You procrastinate more. You lose control over your schedule. You keep telling yourself you'll catch up later, but time doesn't wait. And neither does opportunity. The earlier you fix your sleep, the faster you regain control of your day. It doesn't take much, just a set bedtime and the discipline to follow it. Remove the distractions, set a cutoff time. Protect your rest like it matters, because it does. You're not just sleeping, you're sharpening, you're preparing, you're recharging so you can be your best self tomorrow. Most people stay up late because they feel like they're finally getting time for themselves. But that's the trap. That time comes at a cost. It takes away the power of your mornings. It takes away your ability to start strong. It trades short-term relief for long-term struggle. And that trade is never worth it. You don't need more late nights, you need more discipline over your time. And that discipline starts when you choose to respect your sleep. Go to bed on time, let your mind rest, let your body recover. That's how you win the next day. Before it even begins. To master self-discipline, you must master your rest. No routine will work if you're always tired. No plan will succeed if your mind is running on empty. Sleeping on time is not about being perfect. It's about being prepared. It's about giving yourself the mental and physical strength to follow through. If you want to live with purpose, then rest with purpose. Make sleep a non-negotiable part of your routine. Keep it simple, keep it consistent, and most importantly, treat it as a discipline. Because how you sleep decides how you live and how you lead yourself forward every day. Number 6, limit your choices to strengthen your self-control muscle. One of the fastest ways to build stronger self-discipline is by limiting your choices. Most people believe that more options mean more freedom, but too many choices actually drain your willpower. Every time you have to make a decision, you use up a little mental energy. And the more choices you face, the more likely you are to choose the easy way out. Discipline doesn't come from having 100 options. It comes from creating a clear path. When you simplify your decisions, you save your energy for what matters most. That's how you strengthen your ability to stay consistent. Think about how much time you waste just deciding what to eat, what to wear, when to start your work, or how to spend your free time. These small decisions may seem harmless, but they take up space in your mind. They wear you down. You end up feeling tired before the real work even starts. But when you remove the need to decide every little thing, you free your mind to focus on action. You don't have to think, you just follow through. That kind of simplicity makes discipline much easier to maintain over time. Structure helps you avoid temptation. If your plan is clear and your options are limited, you don't spend energy debating, you just do what needs to be done. That's real control. It might feel boring at first, but it works. The more automatic your routine becomes, the stronger your self-control gets. You don't need to rely on motivation. You don't need to battle with your feelings. You already know what to do. And doing it becomes easier because you've removed the distractions that slow you down and lead you off track. People who stay disciplined don't make better choices. They make fewer choices. They simplify their routines. They repeat what works. They eliminate the need to constantly think about their next step. That's not laziness, that's strategy. It keeps your mind clear. It protects your focus. It helps you stay committed even when life gets stressful. Because when everything else feels uncertain, your routine stays the same. Your choices are already made. That's the kind of stability you need if you want to build long-term discipline that doesn't collapse under pressure. Limiting your choices doesn't mean you live without freedom. It means you create freedom by staying in control of your behavior. You choose once, and then you follow that decision every day. That removes stress, it removes hesitation, it removes the risk of slipping into old habits. The fewer options you give yourself, the easier it is to stick to your standards. That's how you train your self-control muscle. You stop relying on willpower in the moment, and you start depending on the system you built in advance. Think about how much easier your life would be if your actions weren't based on feelings, if you didn't have to convince yourself to stay on track, if your environment didn't push you toward bad decisions. All of that becomes possible when you limit your choices. You wake up knowing exactly what you'll do. You eat the same meals that give you energy. You work during the same hours that bring the best results. You say no to the things that waste your time. That level of clarity builds strength that doesn't fade when things get tough. The truth is, most people have too much freedom and not enough structure. They get lost in choices. They make different decisions every day and wonder why they're stuck. If you want discipline, stop giving yourself so many options. Set boundaries. Build habits that require less thinking and more doing. Create limits that support your goals instead of pulling you away from them. Because when everything is optional, nothing feels important. But when you limit your choices, the right path becomes obvious and easier to follow with consistency. Every time you reduce a choice, you reduce a chance to fail. You also reduce stress. You don't have to constantly reevaluate or second guess. You already know what's next. That kind of mental clarity gives you a huge advantage in today's distracted world. While others are stuck in indecision, you're already in motion. While others are debating, you're finishing. That's what self-discipline looks like in real life. Less thinking, more doing. Less guessing, more planning. Less reacting, more leading. And it all begins with limiting your choices. This is not about living a boring life. It's about living a life that actually works. A life where your habits support your goals, where your mind isn't overloaded, and where your actions reflect your values. That's what happens when you stop chasing options and start building structure. You become reliable. You become focused. You become consistent. That consistency becomes your strength. And that strength allows you to build more discipline with less struggle. You stop breaking your own rules, and you start honoring your own word. To master self-discipline, you have to make discipline easier to follow. That means removing the things that make you weak. It means building routines that limit your decisions. It means keeping your environment clean and your actions simple. Because real strength is not about doing more, it's about choosing better. Fewer choices, stronger habits, clearer actions. That's how you train your mind to stay in control. And the more control you build, the more discipline you earn, not just once, but every single day. That's the kind of discipline that changes your life. Number 7, use discipline to do hard things without complaining. Doing hard things is where self-discipline really gets tested. Anybody can show up when things are easy, but life doesn't reward easy. Life rewards effort. Effort without complaints. That's the difference between people who grow and people who stay stuck. Complaining drains energy. It changes nothing. It only distracts you from doing the work. Self-discipline is what allows you to face hard tasks and handle them without needing to express how tough they are. You just get them done. You don't explain. You don't whine. You don't stall. You move forward. That's what strong people do. Quiet effort with consistent execution. Hard things reveal who's serious. When something is difficult, your mind wants to resist. It wants to talk, delay, complain, or walk away. But discipline is the voice that says, do it anyway. It reminds you that complaining doesn't reduce the difficulty. It just wastes time. That habit of facing what's hard without needing sympathy builds something inside you: grit, resilience, power. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being mature. Complaining shows up when you want comfort more than growth. But discipline shows up when you want progress more than attention. The more you complain, the weaker your focus becomes. You stop thinking about solutions and start focusing on problems. That mindset will trap you. Discipline helps you flip the switch. It doesn't let you stay in the emotion, it pulls you back to the action. You stop asking, why is this so hard, and start asking, what do I need to do next? That small shift changes your momentum. You stop waiting for things to feel better and start moving in the direction that makes you stronger. That's how forward thinkers build their discipline, through action, not reaction. Most people waste energy trying to make hard things feel easier. But growth doesn't happen in comfort. Growth happens when you accept the challenge and handle it with a strong attitude. Discipline means showing up and following through even when everything in you wants to quit. It means doing your job without needing applause. It means staying steady when others fold. That kind of strength doesn't come from talent. It comes from building the habit of doing hard things without needing anyone to notice. It becomes part of your character, not something you have to force every time. Complaining also spreads weakness. It creates a culture of low standards. If you complain, others around you start doing it too. Then nobody grows. Everybody stays stuck in the same cycle of frustration. But if you handle hard things with discipline and quiet strength, you lead by example. You raise the standard. Others see it, and they start to follow. That's how leaders are made. Not with speeches, not with noise, but with daily action. You do the hard thing, you keep your focus, and you move on. That kind of behavior earns respect, not just from others, but from yourself. When you stop complaining, you take your power back. You stop blaming, stop explaining, and start accepting full responsibility for your results. Hard things will always be part of the journey. You can't skip them. You can only face them. And if you want to stay disciplined, you need to decide that hard is not an excuse. It's a signal. A signal that says, this is the moment to get stronger. Complaining is the habit of the powerless. Discipline is the habit of the focused. The person who chooses discipline grows. The one who chooses excuses stays the same. People want strength, but don't want to do what builds it. Strength is not built in easy situations. It's built in pressure. It's built in silence. It's built when you feel like quitting, but keep moving anyway. Discipline is the tool you use to push yourself beyond your limits. You won't always feel like doing it. That's why discipline matters more than feeling. The moment you accept the difficulty without complaint, you gain control. And once you have control, you're no longer a victim of the task. You're the one directing your path forward, no matter how hard it gets. It's not that disciplined people enjoy hard things. They just don't give themselves the option to avoid them. They know that every difficult task, handled without complaint, adds a layer of strength. They know that the road to success isn't built on comfort. It's built on the habit of showing up again and again, especially when it's inconvenient. They don't need to say much about it. They just do it. That's the mark of someone who's serious. Not someone who talks about being strong, but someone who proves it through consistent follow-through. Self-discipline teaches you to stay quiet while you're under pressure and stay focused while everyone else is distracted. There is something powerful about a person who can go through a storm and not complain, who can lift a weight without telling the world it's heavy. That kind of mental toughness is rare, but it's something anyone can build. It starts by refusing to complain and choosing to take action instead. Every time you do that, you strengthen your discipline. You become more dependable. And over time, that dependability becomes one of your greatest strengths. To master the art of self-discipline, you must learn to do hard things without complaining. Accept the difficulty. Show up anyway. Keep your mouth closed and your actions loud. No one needs to hear how hard it is. What matters is that you do it. That's how you grow. That's how you earn results. You don't need attention, you need progress. Let your efforts speak. Let your consistency build your future. The world watches people who move with quiet strength. Be one of them. Handle the hard things with discipline, and you'll become someone even you can trust. Number 8. Repeat good actions daily until they become normal. Most people don't realize how simple discipline becomes when good actions turn into habits. The real challenge is not knowing what to do. It's doing it every day until it becomes your normal way of living. If you have to force yourself to do the right thing every time, it will feel exhausting. But when you repeat the right actions daily, your brain stops resisting them. It becomes automatic. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to fight with yourself. You just do it because it's part of who you are now. That's how real change happens. Good actions don't create change unless they're repeated. One workout doesn't make you strong. One productive day doesn't make you successful. One healthy meal doesn't change your body. The power is in the repetition. That's where growth begins. Discipline is the ability to show up again and again until those good actions no longer feel like effort. They feel like routine. You don't need to overthink. You don't need to hype yourself up. You just follow through. That's the difference between people who stay consistent and those who only work in short bursts. In the beginning, new actions will feel uncomfortable. Your brain resists anything unfamiliar. That's normal. But if you stay with it, that discomfort fades. You begin to build a rhythm. The same action that once felt like a challenge starts to feel natural. That's how your habits form. Discipline grows with each small decision you repeat. It doesn't come all at once. It builds slowly through repetition until it becomes a part of your identity. The goal is not perfection, it's consistency. The more you repeat, the easier it gets. The mind works on patterns. What you do repeatedly becomes what your brain expects. If you're used to giving up, your mind will expect you to give up again. But if you're used to following through, your mind will expect that too. That's why it's important to stay consistent, even when the results are slow. You're not just changing your schedule, you're changing how your mind sees you. And when your identity shifts, your discipline becomes stronger, without needing extra effort every time. People often stop too early. They say, it's not working after a few days, but they haven't done it long enough. You can't rush the process. Discipline is not built in a day. It's built by stacking days together, one after another, without quitting. Repeating good actions daily is how you train your willpower. It's how you rewire your mind. And once your mind believes this is your new normal, it stops fighting against you. It starts working with you. That's when discipline becomes easier to maintain. You don't need to change everything overnight. Start with one good action. Keep it simple. Something you can do every day, no matter how you feel. It might be a short workout. It might be reading for 10 minutes. It might be tracking your time. Whatever it is, keep doing it until you don't need reminders anymore. That small win becomes your foundation. From there, you build more. One habit at a time. No rushing, no skipping, just steady, daily action that shapes the way you think and live. Your future depends on what you do repeatedly. If your daily actions are weak, your results will reflect that. If your daily actions are strong, your life will start to change. People want results, but they avoid repetition. They get bored. They want excitement. But discipline isn't built on excitement. It's built on commitment. Doing the same good thing every day until it no longer feels like effort. That's when the breakthrough comes. Not when you feel motivated, but when you feel nothing and still do what matters. Good actions repeated over time create confidence. You start to trust yourself. You stop questioning your ability to stay consistent. Every time you follow through, you collect proof that you're capable, and that proof becomes your power. You no longer need to convince yourself to do the right thing. You've done it so many times, it's who you are now. That's the shift people chase. They want to feel confident, but they skip the part that builds it. Daily repetition of the actions that align with their goals. There's no secret formula. It's not about intensity. It's about doing something small, something meaningful every day until it becomes automatic. That's how discipline is developed. Not through force, not through pressure, but through quiet, repeated effort that stacks up over time. It doesn't matter how small the action is. What matters is that you do it without skipping. Each day you repeat that good action, you get closer to the life you want. That's the truth. Simple, clear, powerful. To master self-discipline, you must build a life around good routines. You must decide which actions support your goals and then repeat those actions until they become part of your daily identity. This is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent enough that your choices no longer feel forced. They feel natural. That's the goal. That's where freedom comes from. Not from doing what you feel like, but from becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to think twice. You just act. And every day, you become stronger. Number 9, set early deadlines and finish before they arrive. One of the best ways to sharpen your self-discipline is by setting deadlines that come earlier than required. When you give yourself extra time, you often waste it. You start slow, get distracted, and leave things until the last minute. That creates pressure and poor results. But when you set early deadlines, you force yourself to take action now. You stop delaying. You stop waiting for motivation. You create a sense of urgency before the world demands it from you. That urgency builds focus, and focus strengthens your ability to stay disciplined through action instead of excuses. People who get things done early aren't lucky or gifted. They've trained themselves to beat the clock before the clock beats them. When you finish tasks early, you create room for better thinking. You have time to review, to improve, and to correct mistakes. That's how you grow. You don't feel rushed. You don't panic. You build a system that keeps you ahead of problems. That's a serious advantage in life. Discipline doesn't mean stress, it means structure. And that structure starts with choosing your own deadlines and staying ahead of them. When you wait until the last moment, you activate survival mode. Your brain goes into a state of panic. You might finish the job, but you burn yourself out, and that becomes a cycle. Rush, crash, repeat. That pattern kills consistency. It also damages your confidence, but when you finish before it's due, your mind stays calm, you stay in control, and every time you meet your own early deadline, you feel stronger, not because it was easy, but because you didn't wait to be pushed. You chose to lead yourself before pressure had to do it for you. Most people don't realize how much time they waste when they feel like they have plenty of time. That mindset creates laziness. It removes urgency. You feel comfortable delaying. But those small delays pile up. Suddenly, time is running out, and you're scrambling. That's not a discipline problem. It's a timing problem. If you set deadlines earlier than needed, you break that habit. You don't rely on the pressure of others. You create your own standards. And those standards build trust with yourself. You know you'll follow through because you've proven it again and again. Setting early deadlines also helps you stay organized. You're not constantly shifting tasks or making last-minute changes. You plan, you prepare. You follow a timeline that works in your favor. That gives you more energy and clarity. You don't feel behind, you feel ready. That readiness becomes a source of power. You're not reacting, you're responding. You're not chasing time, you're managing it. That's what discipline looks like in action. Not waiting for the deadline to hit you, but hitting your own target first, then using the extra time to get even better. Self-betraying grows when you learn to manage your time with purpose. When you beat deadlines, you start seeing time differently. You value it more. You protect it more. You use it wisely. And in return, time rewards you. You get more peace, more efficiency, more results. That's the quiet reward of discipline. It's not flashy. It's not dramatic. It's practical, and it works. You don't need to be told what to do. You've already done it. That kind of attitude builds a mindset that thrives under pressure because it rarely has to face it. Discipline is about removing the need for panic. It's about doing the work before the world demands it. Early deadlines teach you that control is a choice. You choose when to start. You choose how to finish, and you choose to finish early, not because you have to, but because that's the standard you've built for yourself. That choice gives you flexibility. If life throws something unexpected at you, you're not thrown off. You've already handled the work. That buffer is earned through consistent early action. That's how you take back control of your day. Some people say they work better under pressure, but that's not discipline. That's survival. Discipline means doing the work even when there's no pressure. even when no one is checking, even when you could easily delay. That mindset comes from setting your own rules, and one of the most powerful rules you can create is finishing early. It removes excuses, it removes chaos, it keeps you locked in on your goal, and each time you follow that rule, you reinforce your identity as someone who shows up early, finishes strong, and keeps their word. You don't need reminders when your deadlines are self-created. You become your own accountability system. You don't need to be pushed because you've already taken the lead. That level of discipline builds a reputation not just with others, but with yourself. You know you're reliable. You know you won't fold under pressure. That confidence gives you the courage to take on more, to grow faster, and to deliver better results. And it all starts with one simple habit. Set early deadlines and finish before they arrive. Over time, that habit shapes your entire approach to life. To master self-discipline, you need to stop operating at the edge of time. You need to bring structure back into your schedule. You need to respect your future by taking action now. Set deadlines that stretch you forward, not deadlines that barely keep you alive. Live ahead of pressure. Choose to finish early and watch how much calmer, sharper, and more focused your life becomes. Discipline isn't built in panic. It's built in preparation. Beat the deadline and you beat the stress. That's how real performers stay consistent, and that's how real growth begins. Number 10, live every day with a standard your future respects. Every day you live is shaping the future version of yourself. Whether you realize it or not, the small decisions you make daily are creating habits, building attitudes, and forming your future. If you live with no standard, you drift. If you live with low standards, you settle. But if you live each day with a clear standard that your future self would be proud of, you begin to build something solid. You start making decisions with purpose. You stop wasting time. You do things that align with the person you want to become, not the person you're trying to escape. The easiest way to ruin your future is to keep ignoring it today. Too many people wait for success before they raise their standards, but success never arrives that way. The standard comes first. You decide how you want to carry yourself. You decide how you want to show up, even when no one is watching. That's how discipline is formed. You start acting in ways that serve your future goals, not just your current emotions. That's where real maturity starts, not in talk, in action. And those actions, when repeated, change the direction of your life. The future only respects those who respect their time, their values, and their effort. You can't expect a better life if you continue to make careless choices. That doesn't mean being perfect. It means being responsible. Living each day with a standard means not giving in to distractions that break your focus. It means holding yourself to commitments, even when it's hard. It means doing things right, even if nobody gives you credit. Because your future won't care how you felt today. It will only reflect what you did with today. When you raise your standard, you raise your results. People who expect more from themselves don't settle for comfort. They do the hard things. They stick to the plan. They make adjustments, not excuses. And that's what builds character. Discipline isn't about control, it's about respect. Respect for your future, respect for your time, respect for your word. You choose to live today in a way that builds pride tomorrow. That's the mindset that separates disciplined people from those who keep starting over. You don't lower the bar, you rise to meet it. If you look closely at your life, you'll see a pattern. You're living exactly what you've tolerated. Your energy, your habits, your discipline, they're all results of your standards. You can't demand a stronger future while living with weak actions. It doesn't work that way. You need to choose today what kind of person you want to become. And then act like it, not tomorrow, now. Because time doesn't pause. You're either getting closer to your best self or further away. And the only thing that decides which direction you go is how you live each day. Living with a strong standard requires clarity. You have to know what matters to you, what you stand for, what you're building. And once you know, you protect it. You say no to what doesn't fit that standard. You walk away from people who lower your focus. You stop wasting time on things that leave you empty. That's not being harsh. That's being clear. A disciplined life is not full of restrictions, it's full of decision. And the best decisions are the ones that make your future stronger, not weaker. You have to ask yourself something every morning. Will the version of me 5 years from now thank me for how I live today? That question keeps you accountable. It keeps your ego in check. It keeps your mind focused. If the answer is no, change your actions. Don't wait for pain to teach you what discipline could have prevented. Choose to act in ways that bring you pride later. That's what a high standard does. It keeps you on track even when no one's watching and nothing is urgent. It makes you consistent before life forces you to be. Success is not created in one day. It's built over thousands of days, lived with intention. If you keep repeating lazy patterns, you'll build a future full of regret. But if you repeat strong actions, you'll build a future full of strength. Your habits are writing your future story. So if you want that story to be one you're proud of, you must live with discipline now. Every choice matters. Every hour matters. Don't live as if time is unlimited. Your future self is depending on you to act with urgency and clarity today. There will always be temptations to lower your standard, to relax your goals, to make today easy. But easy doesn't build anything. Comfort doesn't develop self. Every time you choose what's easy now, you're passing the burden to your future self. And that future version of you will carry the weight. But every time you live with discipline today, you remove that weight. You build a future that feels lighter, clearer, stronger. That's the reward. You give yourself freedom not by avoiding pressure, but by mastering it through discipline and a strong standard. To master self-discipline, you must live each day like it counts. Because it does. You can't redo today. You can't push everything to tomorrow. Your future isn't shaped in big moments. It's shaped in the daily grind. Set a standard that demands focus, demands effort, demands consistency. Not for approval, not for attention, for your own peace. So when you look back, you feel proud, not because it was easy, but because it was intentional. That's how self-discipline becomes a lifestyle. You build it one decision at a time, one standard at a time, and you never let that standard drop. If you want real change, stop waiting for the perfect time. Start now. Start with what you have. Self-discipline isn't built in one day. It's built through daily effort, through choices that challenge you, through habits that repeat even when no one's watching. You don't need to be the most talented. You just need to be the one who shows up, stays consistent, and keeps their word. Discipline is the skill that makes all your other skills work. When you master it, you unlock a level of focus, strength, and control most people never reach. So decide today. No more delays, no more excuses. Raise your standard. Build a routine. Do the hard things. Track your time, sleep on time, finish early, show up with purpose. Discipline won't just change your day, it will change your entire future. And remember this, you either suffer the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. You choose.